Bam. We are red. Cue music. New music. You got us live. Should be.
Yeah.
Cool. Fade Chris. Fade Charlie. And it's official.
Oh, yeah.
Bam.
The music didn't really have any kind of a kick at all.
No, not really. Whatever. That's
It
fine.
was just kind of like a walk to the mailbox and back. You know, he didn't like. I pictured that he was going like somewhere, but it just was like, and I got the mail. Time to go back home. Cool.
I like the
Bye, guys,
analogy.
for the day.
What is it? December 13th, right? Man, oh man.
Yeah.
We're closing down on Christmas. We're closing down on the end of the year.
Yeah. It's coming in hot. It's quick.
Coming in hot. Coming in hot.
You have
Cool.
your shopping done?
No, I was talking with my brother about that today. I know what I need to buy, and I know what I'm getting my mom. So,
But I haven't even given you my Christmas list yet.
well,
How'd you
then
know?
I'm behind. So get it to me. We're both delinquent. All right, cool. I'm Chris,
I'm Charlie.
and we're
Always 8-balling.
holiday 8-balling too.
Yeah, I got a little Christmas tree guy.
I brought Santa. in.
And Chris has a little, where's Waldo Santa? Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Listening to Christmas music yesterday, doing some Christmas shopping, and I was in the car with my mom, and I'm like, this is like the worst possible weather. It was raining and like foggy. You know, it's like fall weather kind of, listening to Christmas music, and it was just like making me nauseous. I'm like, this is terrible. Who wants rain in December?
You know,
I want to see snow.
I have my own little Christmas tradition. And it's just goofy, but I have this just scarf I never wear, but it's a nice comfy cashmere scarf, and I have this little outfit I put on, and I go to Somerset, and that mall is just very Christmassy and, you know, very happy.
Yeah, totally.
And
Yeah.
I just go there to buy. I used to buy Sherry men's T-shirts, so I would go to Macy's and get these nice comb cotton shirts and
Other
get
men's T-shirts.
Yeah, get she slept in them, and get something to eat and just people watch for a little bit. And you know, I'm not going to the mall this year, so I missed that. Hey, Lucy.
Yeah. Mall's fun.
And we're in a new room.
Except for that, I went. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Lucy's looking at me. We're in a new room. I brought a doggy bed in. Hi. She's like, what's going on? I know you're talking. I know this is the drill, but what the fuck? Good girl. Anyway, you were saying?
Oh, no, I was just going to say I was at the mall yesterday, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I fucking hate this. It wasn't the mall. I shouldn't say that. It was a mall. It was, I went to, it was like one of the only places that sells guns near here, because I was trying to pick up a couple of shotguns, but the Bass Pro Shop at
Great
Lakes
or
Crossing.
whatever.
It was
Yeah.
packed to the brim, yeah. I was like, I fucking hate this. I was like, I just hate this so much. And just social
Why?
distancing shit, and somebody smelled like weed, and I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here. I hate this. This is not good. Yeah, and I didn't get what I needed. it was not good. It was just a waste of a trip, but at least.
Yeah, the mall and
You can
masks.
buy guns online pretty quick.
Yeah, the mall and masks would be weird. Can you hear?
It's just like, why bother?
Well, there's still decorations in the music, and you're just down on masks, man.
I shouldn't say
Oh,
that. It's
you know,
like,
I wanted
it's
to
like
make
if you're gonna wear the. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Do your thing first.
Now I was going to shift gears.
We've ragged on masks enough.
So you know my feelings on Gretchen Whitmer. I'm 99% sure, I'm pretty good at voice recognition, that she is doing the voiceovers on a lot of the COVID ads that you hear. and they're ended with
Really?
spread hope, not COVID. That's not an analogy. It's an analogy, but the two words are supposed to be analogous. Hope and virus are not analogous. Spread hope, not COVID. How fucking dumb is that? Right? Spread
And
health.
depending on what your profession is.
Yeah,
they're
but it's
synonymous.
spread health,
Cope,
not
cope.
disease. Spread this, not that. You know? Spread hope, not despair. Spread butter, not jam.
Is that the
Spread
only way
hope.
that phraseology works? Is that the two things are analogous or diametrically opposed or something?
Supposed to be, yeah. Yeah,
Some
they're
more?
supposed to be related. In analogy, they can be like. They just have to relate in a like way or in a dislike way, but it's like grammatically not correct. It's
Could you use qualities that relate to the noun, the thing that is being described, for your analogy? You know, like COVID is disparitus. I don't know. That's not a word.
well, that's why it would be like spread hope, not
That was-
despair.
Yeah.
Spread hope, not despair.
Oh, shit.
But spread hope,
The computer.
not COVID. It doesn't work. Uh-oh, Charlie's gone. So anyway, that rubs my rhubarb, to use a Jack Nicholson line.
I've never heard that one. Rubs my rhubarb is a good one.
In the very
Sorry, the
first,
computer was unplugged. I had
in the very first Batman, never rub another man's rhubarb.
That's hilarious. Is that Keaton?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Kim Basinger and Michael Keaton.
Never rob another man's rhubarb. Sounds
Yeah.
good. Could be some
He's got good
gay,
ones.
you know, slang, innuendo in there or something.
You
but
know what was a good
that
one?
actually leads us into our first topic. What? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. Just his character in the Greg Kinnear one, as good as it gets. He's like, go sell Sailor Want to hump somewhere else. We're all filled up on crazy here or something like that. I don't know how well you know that
I've
movie.
never
That's
seen
a great
that,
movie.
but yeah, that's funny. Anyway, like I was saying, that leads into our first topic here, kind of. Well, I guess whatever. The order is arbitrary, but one of the things that was in the news this week that I sent to Chris, probably on Wednesday. I don't know. Was it Wednesday? I sent you that article. It was the Michigan Court of some step in the appeals process. I don't know.
Oh, was
Not
it
very
Michigan Supreme Court?
high.
I thought it was the U.S. Supreme Court.
No, it wasn't U.S. It was Michigan. It was state specific.
Okay.
And
Hey,
actually, the article pulled.
out of there. Get out of there.
State Court of Claims.
Come here, Lucy.
Okay, so it's not actually. This is the first court, so it's not an appeals court, anything like that. So it's the first court. They ruled that sexual orientation is not included in the Michigan ELCRA protective rights or whatever, rights that are protected, things like age, sex, gender, religion, marital status.
Can you pull it up and read the list? Because it kind of
Yeah,
makes
here,
sense.
I'll read the actual. Yeah. And they're arguing semantics on this, but what I thought was interesting. Okay, so it's religion, race, color, national origin, age, sex, height, weight, familial status, or marital status. And that's in the workplace. So technically, that kind of relates to employers and employees. That's Michigan ELCRA discrimination, as defined by. But now they're arguing what the issue is, what they mean by the term sex. So sex is in there, but like, you know, I always laugh at the Austin Powers sex, you know, yes please, but it's male or female, right? So, so it's like what the fuck? This is gonna die. Hang on. Why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? Give me 2 seconds.
Okay.
It's not good for show.
So I don't want to steal any of Charlie's thunder, but it says sex. And this goes down, sounds like he's plugged in. but it doesn't say sexual orientation, which
Okay,
is
we're good.
where this is going to lead.
Right. So, and sorry about that, but the that's not really what I wanted to talk about. Even that, like, sure, that's one thing you can argue that. I don't think that it's a good business tactic or a good moral standpoint if you're going to be a business owner who's like, hey, no gays allowed. Sorry, straight people only. We
Well,
don't do this.
Yeah, but
You know,
the
that's
good.
not like.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well,
No, I was
just
just gonna say that's not what I'm. That's not what I'm arguing from. It's there's
Well,
two
before-
perspectives.
before you
Go
go
ahead.
to your perspectives, the one thing that I think is good that makes me feel good about the process is the court ruled on the law, not on what's good business or what's right, which is their job.
Correct. Right.
Which,
Yes, yeah.
you know, everything's fucked up and politicized and agendized and everythingized, and the court did its job, right? And maybe the outcome was not what's best for society, but I think it was legally correct. So that made me feel good. Anyway, so
No, totally, and that's exactly like that. Piggybacks on exactly what I mean to. I don't want. There's two issues here that I don't want to get conflated, and that is a good way of pointing them out, spelling them out. Is there's what's legally accepted, and then you can also say, hey, from a moral perspective, what's right and wrong. Those are two things altogether, but that aside, which is what people usually, they go, this is wrong, or this is right, or this is against the law, this is not against the law. The important thing to me is what is philosophically, like, what it should be. It's not like we spelled it out and we were right, or we spelled it out and we were wrong. You're doing the Lord's work. I want to say, hey, is this philosophically, from a philosophical standpoint, logically, if you go back, we have Socrates, these guys analyze the situation and say, you know what? We're not going to force business owners to serve anybody based on any qualities. Is that what's really right? And I feel like that never, ever gets talked about. Nobody ever brings that up. Like, you'll never fucking read an article that says, hey, you should be forced to make a cake for this person because of whatever. Like, no one ever... and maybe it's...
I think those articles get written. I think they get written when there was literally the cake thing, right? And the lesbian couple,
Yeah.
and they went into the bakery, and it was, I think they were a Catholic couple, and if memory serves, they actually sought them out for the purpose of controversy.
They went
and
to
the court,
several locations, right? Yeah.
yeah, and the court said, didn't the court say you got to bake them a cake?
Yeah, then it was appealed and then appealed again, I think, and it got overruled. But yeah.
I've got a great analogy once, so keep going. But
No, so my whole point on this is don't get stuck in the weeds on this, because you're right. They did rule on the legality, like what the law actually states, which is rare. You don't really get that, because there was that one. What was that one famous case where they were ruling on whether or not United States citizens have a right, quote unquote, a right to homosexual sodomy, and they're like, well, we can't come out and say they don't have a right to that. But
I don't remember that. Was that when sodomy was technically illegal?
I'm trying to think of what it is. Yes, there's some case in Supreme Court justice or these Harvard law. Fuck. I don't have the documents in front of me. I gotta get situated. But they didn't want to come out and say, hey, you actually don't have this right. It isn't explicitly spelled out, but we're not gonna deny you that right. So they basically were just like, the law doesn't fucking matter. We're gonna say it because it's the way that it should be,
Kind of like
which is very different from what's going on here.
almost
Where
like
they're
a
saying the
double,
law actually does state.
almost in the sense of like a non-double negative or whatever.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and it's interesting, mind trip, mental backflipping there. But I think that at some point you got to be like, hey, this is wrong to do that. You can't just take what you think that the law would interpret, or you can't the living, breathing whole document thing. At some point, you can't be like, this is my interpretation of the law. It's not specifically spelled out. I'm gonna assume that everybody has a right to homosexual sodomy, and then, damn, taking the wind out of Lainey's sails again. She would love to talk about rights, but what does a right imply, and what does that mean for the United States having to ensure that somebody can do that or pursue that? It's all very interesting, but
Well, right. So, God, there's a million directions you could go with this. But like just real quickly on the rights thing. So there's like kind of like, natural, God-given inalienable rights. And then there's rights as interpreted by the laws in terms of what's been prescribed that we can and cannot do. Right. And that's a little subjective, and is right the correct word, like I don't have the right to shoot you, but that's more established by the law than, the Constitution or, accepted natural, human rights.
Well, it's even weirder because you actually do have a right to shoot me as long as I'm doing something that is denying your right. It's you do have a right to shoot me as long as I'm hurting you or whatever, causing you imminent danger. Yeah,
right.
Putting you in imminent danger.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, you know what? When you brought this up, I don't know, a week or two ago, and you just were getting a little bit torqued on, what are rights?
We talked about that. Human rights. Healthcare is a human right. I fucking hate that.
Do you remember, I don't know, 6 or 8 summers ago, when the city of Detroit decided they were going to start to collect on water bills?
No.
So the city of Detroit, like water bills just basically went largely unpaid. And it's largely the city's fault because they train people that if you don't pay your water bill, we keep giving you water. I mean, after years and years and years. And the city's like, we're facing insolvency and we need to collect on the shit that's owed us. So they started, they sent out notifications, shut off notices, and they actually started shutting off people's water. And
people were saying, I have a right to water or whatever.
It was either the International Red Cross or another, entity like that said access to water is a fundamental human right. And are you willing to entertain me on this one rabbit hole? Because I didn't have a podcast.
Yeah, I would say
back then.
I love this shit. I would say get your own and not only do I clean it, filter it, collect it, and deliver it directly to your fucking house. Like I'm paying for it too. Go and find your own fucking pond.
That's
and
the
figure
point.
it out then.
Oh my god. Yeah. You totally stole my argument. I mean,
Sorry, but
your
that's
head.
the thing.
No,
Go
it's
find a
okay.
pond.
Your head went to exactly where my head went, which is, I agree. Go to the Detroit River, which is where your water comes out of, with a bucket, and go get water, and you have water. Now,
and I won't stop you. Yeah.
Here, who has water bills?
People who have homes.
Exactly.
Own property.
People who own homes. If you rent, water is part of your rent. If you rent a house, if you rent an apartment, 999 times out of 1,000, water's included. So if you own your own home, that is when this comes into play. So like you said, the water to a homeowner is collected, filtered, sanitized, and delivered. So if somebody said, okay, let's say I want to say I have a right to have Absopure come give me, filtered reverse osmosis in a bottle that goes in a cooler. People would say, well, you're crazy. Say, all right, you know what? Okay, forget that. That's a little much, the cooler and all that. I'll just take a weekly pallet of bottled water. And they'd say, well, that's crazy too. Well, isn't filtered, sanitized, delivered water at city-maintained pressure also something that is a service above and beyond just water?
Yes. Yes, it is. I don't even have to hesitate. Yes, it is.
Exactly.
That's stupid. No one is stopping you from digging a fucking hole in the ground and lining it with clay and just letting it collect, and that you can figure it out from there. I'm sure your ancestors figure out that you can boil water and somehow you get less disease, and that's good for the babies. But that's just start from square one.
So peel back the onion one more layer, And what are they fundamentally saying you have a right to?
They're saying that you have a right to the fruits of my labor. I don't know if that's essentially what
My
it is, but-
my version is you have a right to home ownership that includes water delivery. That's essentially where this takes you.
Well, now
Because the only people it affects are
essentially-
homeowners.
yeah. Essentially, it's you have a right to obtain homeownership without having to
Pay for water.
Water. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Right.
Which just fucking got my goat, man. It really bothered me. You know, and it's like, okay, I'm sure, you know, you're paying for your other utilities. Now, I didn't support, so if people are in arrears for 10 years because the city said, we're not going to fucking collect on this. And if you do train people that they don't have to pay something, you're culpable to a degree. And
Not
if
gonna
somebody,
pay it.
if somebody owes, you know, $2,500 on a water bill and there's just no way they can afford that, then you set up a payment plan. And if they
That's it.
adhere
A
to
payment
it,
plan. Right.
yeah. And if they adhere to it, then, you know, and if it's $50 a month, whatever, shame on the city for not doing it. But just going and arbitrarily turning off water, I think is, you know, kind of dirty pool as well, because you can't live in your home without water. But so they were going and they were going and
totally
shutting.
can. Sorry.
Well, no. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But but it kind of ruins the whole proposition of having a house. But anyway, you set up a payment plan, you adhere to the payment plan, and bam, I think it's, you know, win-win. You got water for free, and with that money, you were able to buy something else. Anyway, that's so funny. You went exactly where my head went when this was all happening, and I was livid.
It's obvious. It's so obvious. And I'm not saying that's like a bad point you're making. It's a really good point, but I don't.
No, but
think
nobody
like most
else made this
people think.
point. It was on, you know, it was on talk radio locally. I mean, even where, like, you know, how sometimes like sports shows and other topical shows will deviate and talk about like shit that's going on locally. It was just a hot topic. And I was like, you guys are missing the point. You guys are totally missing the point. It's not water. It's fucking water delivered to your home under pressure, like clean and sanitary. And you got there in, you know, a half a second. And everybody else missed it. Oh, my God.
It's because people are fucking horrible, and I should be running the state. Control right.
Man, oh, man. Your internet, you're sketchy right now. Uh-oh. You're frozen. I don't know if you can hear me. Anyway, so this is highly cathartic. I wish I had had this podcast way back when, because I would have been all over this. Mr. Charlie, we're losing you. We lost you. You may have to dial back in. I'm going to text Charlie, and I'm going to do talk to text. We were just getting going. Let's see. Bear with us, bear with us. You gotta love technology, man. You're gone, period, period, period. Try logging off and logging back in, period. So back to what Charlie had been talking about with regard to this law. I read, Charlie sent me a link to an article, and I think maybe I read further on. But so what's interesting is that the court determined that this law did not establish any sort of right for same-sex marriage in terms of businesses having to serve them. But in effect, what it did do was it established... There you are.
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. Hey, so I started talking... I went back a couple of topics to the initial one on the law that the Michigan State Court ruled on sex, and that same-sex
So,
marriages don't have to be served. So
yeah, wait. So I'm on a
gonna
tear
steal
here.
your
Let
thunder.
me just connect these. No, that's okay. So it's essentially identical. You're forcing. So by saying that these people in Detroit have a right to that filtered water that gets, like you said, pressurized and delivered. Not only is it cleaned and it's pure, delicious, and healthy, whatever, it gets sent to your fucking house. It's like literally you walk downstairs and you just turn a thing and it's there. Oh my god, it's magic. Could you imagine a caveman 10,000 years ago had like water right there? No. These people who are setting up this infrastructure for whatever it might be. I think in this article it states two basically. No, one of them is like a wedding planning, like a wedding venue. And the other one is a laser hair. That's a whole other road I don't really want to go. Icky, hairy road I don't want to go down. But you're essentially saying, I have a legal right to your work, your efforts. That, and you were a little bit more pedantic about it in that it's home ownership with free water, but you're just saying you can't stop. You can't choose when you want to work for somebody else if you decide to work at all. So it's not just when I'm gay or not just when I'm black or a lesbian or whatever the fuck it is. Who cares? By the way, I think you should be able to deny somebody if their shirt is blue or if they have crooked teeth. But, like, you're taking away the right of the business owner to refuse the right of service to anybody for any reason, and it shouldn't be. I'm not advocating for racist businesses. Okay, it's not the whole point of this. It's to say that as a business owner, you should have a right, and it's willing buyer, willing seller, 100% of the time. That's my situation.
I totally agree. I didn't think of it in terms of you're not telling me when I can and cannot work, which is interesting. But didn't the article also say it effectively protected the rights of transgender people? It kind of backed into that because they've said, I'm definitively this sex. So
right, and it's
in and of itself, it protects somebody who is a stated sexual orientation. But
and it's interesting. That's why you have Iran is the capital of transgender surgeries, because they don't have an issue if you become a woman, but they have an issue with gay sex acts. So
right, if you're gay, they throw you off a building. Well,
but if you become a woman, it's okay. So that's why it's
didn't that lead people who were gay to say, I'm transgender, so they could practice?
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. So they become a woman essentially, and then even though you're like, I just like, well, you asked me not to say that, but but you're just doing certain things. You're like, I don't want to be a woman, but so it's essentially
you want to have sex with somebody of the same gender. So right. Are they actually dressing up as women, or are they just saying I'm a woman?
They're getting transgender surgery.
Oh, really?
They're getting it's the Tehran is the gender reassignment surgery capital of the world, I think.
Really? In terms of in terms of just of numbers, or of like,
think about the risk associated.
Technology.
You're like, if I get caught doing something gay. It's,
yeah.
You're like gonna get killed. But if you're not doing that, it's accepted now. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, they fucking throw you off a building, right?
Or stone you to death, right? And not with marijuana, folks. Kids at home with rocks.
But that's an extreme religion thing, correct? It's not a
right, but it's essentially the rule of law in the land, which is why it's related. So
right, but it's not a national practice; it's a religious practice, correct?
Right, and then you get into the weeds over here in America, where you're like, okay, well, if the transgender thing is just I say I'm a woman, then where do you draw the line where the law protects you when you're like, okay, I'm a dude and I have male anatomy and I look like Charlie Houston, I look like this, and I'm like, I'm a woman.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but it's you can't just have these.
I gotta go down a really funny, really quick rabbit hole. Okay. So Lucy is the alpha dog in this house. All right.
Which is so funny.
Yes, but she's the biggest. She's the most muscular. I mean, she weighs 5 pounds more than Ricky and 6 or 7 pounds
Oh,
more
wow.
than Sadie. I mean, she's huge and she's the most athletic and she's the alpha dog. So what do alpha dogs do? One of the ways they establish dominance is they hump other dogs. So Lucy, like when I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast. So the way I get dressed, I have to put my pants on laying in bed because, like, obviously I can't stand up and lift my legs and put them on. So I sit in bed and I scoot my pants up and I pull them up and I'm laying back and I roll back and forth, pull out. My pants are on. A lot of times the dogs will take advantage of that, knowing that I'm more or less defenseless, and they'll fucking attack me. Right? So they'll lick me or like nibble on me or just jump and have fun. And generally it's like, fun times, noodle salad or whatever.
Yeah, good times. Yeah.
But good times, noodle salad. Lucy will, a lot of times when that's going on, and other times, she will hump Ricky. So my
Because
thing
like
for
you're
the
not there to
last,
protect Ricky.
it's just alpha dog behavior. But I'm like, hey, Lucy, there is no gender fluidity in this house. You're a girl, and girls don't hump. And it's so funny. And she looks at me like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm, no gender fluidity. We don't do that. You're a girl, period.
It's not allowed.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny. I tell Rowdy that this is a no barking household frequently. Hey, this is a no barking house. You can't do that shit. Cut it out. Yeah.
Anyway.
Gender fluidity is a little bit harder of a concept to grasp.
And the reason I thought of that was you were talking about, when do you have rights as a man and when do you have rights as a woman? And there is a huge opportunity for total abuse and insincere gender fluidity and, when you're going to float back and forth. And,
it's a total different issue, but yeah.
It is, but you made me think of it. Yeah. And you made me think of Lucy and,
Oh, good.
This house is binary. I'm sorry.
But she's alpha 100% of the time. She's not.
She is alpha, but she's Lucy, and she's a girl. She's my girl.
But she doesn't.
And I don't want my girl humping
Isn't
like a
it
boy.
more demeaning if a girl is humping you just to prove their dominance? Because even though there's the lack of penetration going on, it's still demeaning to Ricky because he's...
I've not asked him that question. I don't want to relegate him to admitting how that might make him feel. Especially during the holidays. Yes.
Yeah, right.
I'll leave Ricky his dignity.
That's funny. I didn't know that she did that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But just like how Lucy takes advantage of that, when you have sketchy, non-specific laws like this, you end up with shit like this where I can go and do that. But that's a whole other issue.
Well, yeah. So when you initially said that, I applaud the court for getting it right and being specific and translating the language. So who fucked up? Congress, right? They wrote a fucked up law. They wrote an incomplete law. That's where, if it doesn't address something it was intended to address, that's where the law's fucked up, which is kind of like with many situations. It's like Donald Trump. If you don't like how many taxes he paid, fucking don't be mad at him. Be mad at Congress. Or any rich person, Jeff Bezos isn't paying taxes. Amazon isn't paying taxes. Don't be mad at them, if they hire a team of people to take advantage of, every tax. And they're not loopholes. People call them loopholes. They're laws. And if you read the laws and there are exemptions and things you can do to not pay taxes and you do them legally, they're not loopholes. They're there for the taking. So don't get mad.
Right, it's not right. It's not like, oh, we fucked up. It's like, oh, or maybe it is we fucked up. Actually, I don't know. But and you can go. I'm pretty sure this whole time that they've been asking him to release his tax returns, he's like, I'm under audit. So it's not even like fuck you IRS. It's like, oh, they're literally auditing him, and he doesn't owe any back taxes. So it's like they're doing everything. They even think that they fucked up, and they're doing an audit. Whatever.
I personally don't think any politician should be obligated to release their taxes to the public. And I think I brought this up. I think that should it be an issue, I think it would be reasonable that you release your taxes to somebody like, Deloitte and Touche or, any one of those firms. And you say, Did they break any laws? And they audit and they say, no, everything was legal and on the up and up. And that's their own fucking business. If you broke the law, yes, I think that's the public's business if you're seeking public office. But how you conduct yourself in your personal affairs prior to taking office and for your finances, maybe even during your office, I haven't really thought about that one. It's your own private business. It's your own shit.
You have a right to privacy, and that we're using that. I know you're going to say, Charlie, you throw around this word right so carelessly when you're talking about politicians and privacy, but you stomp on people who say, oh, I have a right to human health care, whatever. Yes, because that one I'm confident on. If you want to fight me on privacy, suck my. We had a little blurred on. I'm a little jacked up, but yes, you should have a right to privacy, and politicians are still people. I'm sorry, at the end of the day, but you should have a right to privacy, and I'm pretty sure that one's like in the Bill of Rights. You know, is it the Fourth Amendment or some shit? No idea.
Secure in your effects, whatever that one, it would fall into that.
Yeah, secure in Sixth Amendment. I don't know, whatever.
I used to have all those memorized. I should do that again.
I have a little mini pocket one. I should have it on the table with us. Whenever we rant about this shit, we can bring it up. But you're right. You should have a right to. You should never legally. And that's not the case now. You don't have to share your tax returns. I think it's like, attaboy, he did it. You know, like
if somebody's got to be in their bonnet about it, I think you could be subject to audit. Did you or did you not break the law, right? Because felons can't hold office, and you didn't, and move on. Fucking leave it alone. That was a big thing with Mitt Romney when he was running for president. And that was probably before you were paying attention. Not that long ago. But just audit him. Did he break the law or not? Because guess what? I can guarantee you that if you look, I got a 401k with, all these different mutual funds, and who knows, what itty bit is invested in something that might build a fucking cruise missile or whatever, and I'm
right.
And I'm subsidizing a war, right?
Oh, I even was looking at my own 401k, and it'll show you how much of it is in domestic investments, foreign investments, stocks, bonds, whatever. Like just on the Fidelity, which is a great freaking website, by the way, for somebody who's new to personal finance, all that shit. It's great. You pull it up, I'm like, why is 35% of my 401k in foreign investments? And my buddy who works, that's his job. He's a money manager. He's like, that's not right. He's like, don't do that. He's like, get that shit out of there. Luckily, it's just a year or two or whatever that it's been going on. But I'm like, what the fuck?
But it's mutual
build a cruise
funds
missile and shoot down a
right.
Yeah, shoot down a
General
passenger jet.
Dynamics, 15 miles across town. They build tanks and fucking who knows what else there. And
oh, really? I didn't know that.
That's awesome. And the M1 tank, it got replaced with something else. But anyway, it's built right here in Detroit. It's huge. It's
they replaced
amazing.
the M1 tank? I thought they'd never lost one in combat.
I thought they upgraded it to something else. I could be wrong.
Tank?
Maybe it's the M2. I don't know.
Dose. Sorry.
220.
That was an autistic tangent. We can go back to the task at hand here. But
so are we still on the law?
I think we beat that one to death.
Okay.
What? I think we beat that one to death. I think just so we're level setting here, you should be able to refuse service to anybody for any reason whatsoever.
Here's
anything. Yeah.
Here's one thing I think that just hammers home that point and its importance. And I think everyone would agree on this one. This one, what if your local KKK chapter wanted to do a huge-ass KKK cake? Happy 25th anniversary to the Howell fucking... Sorry, Howell, you got a bad rap.
Yeah. Sorry, you guys know what you did.
Local Howell KKK chapter, and you deliberately went into a bakery that's owned by a black couple. Do you think that couple should have to make that cake? I don't think there's anybody who would say yes. And that's, to me, just the perfect example of why, a boundary that just shouldn't even be approached.
Yeah, but if you're that black couple, you're missing out on a huge, hilarious opportunity here to make some kind of prank cake there. Yeah, or a poison cake, whatever you want to call it.
I think they would want to steer clear of that. Whatever. But anyway, you get my point.
Yes, no, that's a great point. You shouldn't have to do that. And you could be like, no, I shouldn't even have to have you. You shouldn't even be allowed to come in my store. Get the fuck out. That is what, at some point, it's your property and you own yourself too. And the business, that's all that matters, is that you own yourself. And you have a right to associate with whoever you want to at any given time. And you can't force anybody to associate with anybody else. I'm sorry. You can, but you should not. It's wrong.
That's far too libertarian of you and American.
Sorry. I have a Christmas tree. I got the positive vibes were just flowing, so I got a little bit carried away there. I'll try to be a little bit more tyrannical in my next topic, but
all right. So
that brings us to the next topic.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about Eric Swalwell, allegedly hooking up with this Asian spy, this Asian James Bond.
I don't know a lot about this, but it's highly intriguing. So run with it, man.
It's just interesting. Yeah, so
it is.
Swalwell back in 2012 was doing some fundraising or campaigning, whatever. I think to become a representative. I don't think he was in Congress back then. I think this is like his first run. And essentially he ran into this chick, Fang, who, fast forward 7 years, turns out to be a Chinese intelligence officer. Anyway, she was involved in some of the fundraising things. She had personal ties with Swalwell. I'm not going to, I was going to say I'm not going to allege.
Well, they were allegedly romantic, right?
Right. That's what they're saying. Yeah, and it's funny. I've read so many articles, and like any of those left-leaning things, they totally just skip over that entirely. They're like, they had connections. They talked to each other, and it's like in the whole juicy part of the story here. It's different. You have a different relationship with a woman who you're with in that way, but
yeah, pillow talk, man. That's part of how I think they leverage themselves to get secrets.
Loose lips sink ships, bro. It's called a honeypot.
There you go.
It's like the most well-known spy tactic of any spy tactic.
The Americans. Did you see the show The Americans, Netflix?
A couple of episodes, but I didn't like the idea that somebody had infiltrated America because I just hold us in such a high regard that it actually set me on edge a little bit to watch that show.
Really? Wow, I enjoyed that. Anyway, yeah, sex was a huge part of, for her, it was like sex and just kind of
being
sex. For him, he would have relationships with women. And convince them that they were long-term and he loved them and they were, forever. And it was interesting. But yes, snuggling up to people was in the show, which is not reality, but I think in reality, it's how spies gain your confidence. Anyway, keep going.
Which is so telling about humans, by the way. It's like such a...
Sure.
It's like, wait, what?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, it's
human nature.
Like it's such a, it's like such a very.
Oh, that's so hot. Tell me more, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like you're like this telling state secrets and this girl's.
Oh, baby.
Whoa. Yeah, and they're like, fast forward whatever months down the line, like, so you're on trial for treason. Why did you share the? Why did you reveal these secrets? Oh, for like one night of mediocre sex. I'm like, okay, gotcha. Anyway, but yeah, where were we going with that? Anyway, Swalwell had some relationship with this chick. I don't know. I don't know if it's confirmed the nature of the relationship, but I'm sure that's, like you said, pillow talk. And the reporting on it was more interesting than the actual story because I don't know, like, it's not confirmed whether, what he had or what she got from him. Apparently she left the United States in like 2015 after only a few years of finagling in that department. But one of the big things was she was in charge of an internship program, which was interesting. So like and one article states she suggested they implement an internship program in their fundraising operation, which they did. And then like you read the Fox News article, which is slightly less left leaning.
So were they a whole bunch of
she ran the internship program. Yeah.
So it was a whole bunch of
follow-up.
subordinates that were all spies?
I would imagine that she at least had a personal relationship with them and got them to divulge information. Yeah. I don't know. It was like, you're not like a spy, but
The interns were Americans or were Chinese who were other deployed spies?
I'm assuming they were American.
Oh.
But it was like American teenagers that she knew or whatever, you know.
Ooh.
She's like, hey, I'm your buddy. I got you this gig, you know. Spying is interesting. It's a very, espionage is very interesting. You can go any way.
Sure it is.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate too much, but I'm sure that that's how it went. She's like getting her man in the hole, you know. And it's like, all right, so what's going on? Why don't you tell me? Let me get my fuzzy pink unicorn diary out. Explain to me what the hell's happening.
Spy shit goes on, and I will tell you, I'm not privy to detail, but spy shit that goes on, and like, you know, these, I don't know, romanticized, but I didn't turn on chat.
Oh, because I was chatting you when the thing died.
These hang on, I'm gonna turn this on real quick.
Yeah, romanticizing spy stuff.
Well, like Navy SEALs and
I said I'm trapped in an oil painting.
there you go. Let's see. How do I turn this off now? The shit that happens in movies is not all that unrealistic.
I thought you were going to say the other way around.
I knew a Navy SEAL who just told me in confidence some things that went on back the first Iraq War. Anyway, he told me some stuff. I got a buddy whose brother was in the CIA for 25, 30 years, and things go on that are crazy, and they're real.
For sure. Just war, like a war zone in general. That's shit that I could never even imagine. Like I've heard, Iraq War or whatever, Gulf stuff like that. I've listened to some guys talk about that back in my waitering days. And I don't want to say I took advantage of those guys, because clearly there's some like mental that fucks you up. Excuse me for cursing, but there's clearly some mental side effects of that shit happening. Talk about like just what bullets do to flesh is like terrifying. It's just horrible. But
yeah, they're
yeah.
You said you're a fan of hardcore history, right?
I've literally never watched it.
Oh, you haven't? That guy Dan Carlin was on that
No.
on that guy, who I have become a huge fan of, Lex Friedman, on his podcast, and they were talking about war and just what you see and what you got to deal with, and I can't imagine.
Oh, it's abominable. It's just the worst of anything. Like think about it, even if like, typically you imagine it's guys, it's men, right? But women and children end up in war zones sometimes. Like think about if you ever had to witness any of that at all. That's god awful. But yeah, knock on wood. Thankfully, if spying is something that we have to do to get less war, I'm actually okay with that. If spying prevents wars, I'm kind of on the side of espionage. But yeah.
There's a lot of suffering in the world, war and otherwise. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but
food in the fridge, electricity, heat, safety. I mean, it's easy. We forget how lucky we are.
I thought you were gonna say water
And water,
because we talked about that.
clean water.
It's magic. It comes out of a pipe. You didn't even have to talk to a guy to have that happen. It was just there when you bought the place. It's fucking magic. Like you did not have that
Flip a switch.
so long ago. Anyway.
This is magic.
But yeah,
The
on a
whole
happier
world can
note.
watch. On a happier
Yeah,
note.
it is magic. Yeah, this is magic too. But on a happier note, the Swalwell thing, I just like him so much as somebody to pick on because he farted on screen that one time on camera and it was like so obvious. And he like almost giggled, but like kept talking and
Oh,
was
that's
just
the
the
guy?
worst. Yeah, that's
The guy who
yeah.
shuffled off stage? That we
No,
talked
no, no,
about?
no, no. That's a different guy. That's Nadler. Gary
Okay.
Nadler. Different guy. No, that was like he pooped his pants. But Swalwell just like ripped a big one once, and it was like audible on during a news.
I don't
interview.
recall having heard of the guy prior to this. Anyway.
Just look up Eric Swalwell fart on camera, or whatever. It'll come up immediately, and it's
Okay.
hilarious. There's generations of people making fun of it, and like analyzing it and like slowing it down, like dissecting the audio. It's really funny, but it's quite obvious. And it's like, oh, this guy, the sharding guy on TV is the one who's sleeping with the Chinese spies, and he's on the House Intelligence. Matters so much. So we kind of buried the lead there, but he's on the House Intelligence Committee, and it's like, what the fuck, dude? So, whatever.
Whatever.
He in that article, he's like coming out saying, "Yeah, this got leaked because I was such an ardent critic of Trump and his policies." And it's like, wait, so you're saying that it's bad that somebody released this information about you? You're like saying that you're getting punished because this is coming to light? I just hate politicians so much. The idea that he thinks that someone is trying to punish him because he did something wrong. He's like, I shouldn't get punished for it. It should just stay in the shadows and never get talked about. They're just the worst, slimiest people imaginable.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
I'm a little bit high energy today, but yeah.
Yeah. Twitter and all the online venues know to tickle me with AOC information. And I won't get into further detail, but there's more egregiousness on her part. She's becoming a slimy elite, and I'll go into it another time. But we're at 50 minutes, and you had a fun and fruity topic.
Oh yeah, I did have a fun and fruity one. This is just this is totally Joe Rogan-esque because I'm not to say that they talked about this, but it was more like I'm thinking of the insane. Okay, so let me explain how I approached this. You know how the theory of relativity, how Einstein thought of that? I think he was
Smoked a big fat doobie.
hypothesizing. Wow, some good shit. You know, if light moves faster than light, if that's possible? Yeah, no, that's. Could you imagine?
It's not.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying I'm pretending that this is how he thinks about it.
No,
It's
I know.
Wait, shit.
But
Anyway, it's
there-
a
there's
theoretical
question.
situation. It's
If you're in a
thought experiment.
car, and you're going at the speed of light, and you turn the headlights on,
And you turn a flashlight on.
do they illuminate?
Yeah.
They do. Anyway, okay.
No, the question is what happens to slow you down, and whatever. That's a whole theory of relativity. But yeah, he was saying if you're riding a bicycle at the speed of light, and you turn on a flashlight while you're doing that, what the fuck happens? And it's a theoretical situation. So I'm thinking, all these fucking restrictions and this like gender, you could call it the pussification of America. There's a certain way that people are supposed to think. I'm not, and if you're like Charlie's a conspiracy theorist, whatever. No, there's a socially acceptable. There's one school of thought on how you should feel about people's decisions to make, gender fluidity and whatever. And there's all these microaggression rules. I think that's probably the best way to talk about it. Is there's a way that you should react to people to avoid or treat people to avoid these microaggressions, which is the rules are made up by pretty much one side altogether. I'm thinking like if we advance to a space age society wherein we ever contact a sentient form of life outside of this planet, well, like what the fuck are we gonna do? We're gonna be like, actually, you can't say gleep glorp because that's offensive to our black citizens. Like we're gonna make them like understand all this shit about. It's such a fucking weakling thing to do. Like have all these ridiculous restrictions. It's such a like a coddled society thing. Like if you meet these aliens and you're like trying to have a peaceful interaction with them, and you're like the alien is like, "You're different colors. Oh my god!" You're like, "Haha, you losers."
You did a
Like,
better job.
what the fuck are you?
You did a better
What?
job explaining to me before the show.
Sorry,
You
I'm
said
trying to.
if
I know it's a really
aliens,
abstract.
You said if aliens landed on our planet, how would we? And then I forget
Make them
exactly what we
act.
said.
or something, or
No. It was it was a simpler, higher level explanation of what you just said.
it has to do with like social justice, making the aliens adhere to our ridiculous standard of human interaction because of politeness. I just don't see that having all these rules is a winning strategy for like intergalactic communication. You end up with this society where it's like you're more concerned about your fucking like what the guy who has 7 arms isn't going to be like, yeah, it matters that your skin is brown or whatever.
Actually, you don't know that.
I don't know that. You're right. I don't know that, and maybe they're going to be as fucked up. But what if it's a society where they've already met like 5 other planets? You know, we don't just meet one alien planet. It's like this. It's a core now. It's a intergalactic core, and they have 7 different species already. They're like, oh, there's another species here. It's like, yeah,
Star
we're
Wars
different.
bar.
Fucking get over it. Yeah, but I don't know. It just got me thinking like, we're not preparing ourselves to be a spacefaring species. And I don't know if that was where you thought I was going with it when we talked about it earlier. Or
I didn't know where, but it seemed more amusing at the time.
it's just kind of a stupid thought.
No, the bottom line is, you know what, this plays into something I thought of today and I thought of 2 weeks ago. We're not helping ourselves at all.
That's my point, yeah.
And I was watching your favorite activity, football. And I saw it yesterday watching college football, and I saw it 2 weeks ago. And it was 2 defensive backs, and one of them made an awesome play. And it was a white guy, and he's like running off the field, and the other cornerback on the field was just like all jacked up and psyched for the play and actually happy for the guy. And you could tell they were buddies. And he just sprinted over to the other guy, and he was like, pushing him in a good way, like, yeah, man, yes, and he was basically saying, good for you, awesome play. And one guy was black and one guy was white. And my point is, they had something in common. They had common ground, which was playing this game and trying to win this game together. And these guys, there was no color in this moment. He was happy for his friend because his friend made an awesome play. And he was happy for his team because his team made an awesome play. And there was no color barrier. It didn't exist, And Robin DiAngelo says everything's about race. No, these 2 guys were fired up to be together and be psyched and be winning. And it was just a pure moment, and there was no black and there was no white. And my point is common ground. We've lost our ability to say, let's find common ground, and fucking whether yay America or yay Detroit or, Merry Christmas or whatever it is. We've lost our way to find common ground and say, you know what? We have, and this is a fact, we have way more in common with each other. Black, white, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, whatever. We have way more in common with each other than we don't as human beings. We all eat food. We all need, food, shelter, and clothing, and, human interaction, and on and on and on. And this other stuff is so fucking trivial. And when I was watching a football game yesterday, again, a running back just made this unbelievable run. He broke through their line, and then he ran into a guy, shoved him off, twisted, and there were acrobatics and power, and he just made this awesome run. And he happened to be black. And then there was this huge ass lineman, and you could tell they were buddies. The lineman runs downfield, and he did the same thing. He's pushing him and hugging him, and he's like, "Yeah, man!" And he ran for a touchdown, and they were just psyched. And it was this big fat lineman who's, in a way subordinate to the running back, regardless of color, because he's to block for the guy who's going to carry the ball and run. And they were just psyched for each other. And again, it was common ground. They're playing a game and trying to win together. And they were psyched for each other. And you could tell they were buddies, and it was just a pure moment, and there was no color. So Robin DiAngelo, you are so screwed up in your thinking, because you see a pure moment like that, and there's no question. It's just a couple of guys playing a game and being for each other. And again, it was common ground, and it was a game. It was a frickin' football game. And there's a lot more to humanity than a game on a Saturday afternoon. And it just made me and it made me happy. And I'm like, we're just so losing our way, because again, there's so much more we have in common than our differences. And we're making these differences so fucking important. And okay, oppression and hate and all that's bad, right? And we can get better and try to eradicate the world of all that, which will never happen, but you got to try. But man, oh man, there's just so much more in common than in differences. And we're finding ways to foster hate and divisiveness, and it's sad, man. And you know what? That's the one thing I like most about Christmas, because for me, I feel good about feeling good about things. Yeah. It makes me feel good about me.
I was going to say, it's almost like you feel invincible, and you go out in public and you're acting like cheer. You spread cheer, and as Stephen Crowder says, make merry. You go make merry, and it's almost like you could say Merry Christmas to everybody, and you're like, I'm walking on sunshine right now. And you're like, Merry Christmas. Oh, you celebrate Hanukkah? Good shit to you anyway. I don't fucking care. Still good vibes. Awesome. And it's you, because you don't want to. It's selfish. Which, by the way, this is Adam Smith. This is Economics 101. It's selfish because you like feeling that way, and you don't want anyone else to take it away from you. But it's like a good thing. It benefits everybody. Positive vibes, which is a very, millennial thing to say, but you're totally right. It's like you like that. You're happy when you're happy, and it's as simple as that. And Christmas time is just a great way to get spread noxiously around to everybody. It's great.
And this is holiday time in America, and culturally, it's driven by Christmas, but culturally, regardless of race, creed, color, whatever, this is just a time when everybody seems to feel more festive and unified. I feel that way. I hope everybody else does. But man, like I said, even that, I think underscores that we got way more in common than we have in differences. Maybe that's a good.
And that was a great, little tangent, or not tangent there for you, but a great little, maybe you should end it on that. But I just have to get it out. I think even scientifically speaking, if you take an anthropology course, you'll learn that there's greater variance within racial groups in terms of DNA. There's a greater variance between DNAs of individuals within racial groups than there is from two individuals from different racial groups. So it's you get to this point where you're like you said, I love that, you're losing your way. And there's this guy, Camille Foster, who talks about it. And he's a black guy. He's like, I don't think that race is special. I didn't do anything to be black. I didn't do anything to earn it or get it. You know, wasn't like a award that I got in a video game. And if you think it's special, then you're the one who's missing out on something, and you're missing out on so much of who you could be and other shit in life that we should all be focusing on more so. It's not special, and it's not a bad thing or a good thing, or it's just data, right? And
Yeah.
that's not always the case, and we're losing that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think we got
We didn't ask the 8-ball.
a great natural note to end on.
Yeah, we do. Except for that, we didn't ask the 8-ball question. Do you want to ask us something? Should I ask you something?
I asked last week. I feel so good. I don't want to ask it anything that can give me. I'm happy right now. No, but
Okay,
it's
well, let's just end
tradition.
it then.
It's tradition.
Okay, well, I'll make it. I won't make it volatile.
I got a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, 8-ball. Is Christmas going to be merrier than the New Year is going to be happy?
Oh, interesting. Not so good. So the New Year is going to be happier than Christmas will be merry this year.
That's kind of a
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
right. Either answer is kind of good.
That sounds great. Awesome.
Awesome.
Isn't it?
All right, man. Let's cue some music.
For Christmas,
And-
that music was bad. It's the only bad part of this show.
Well, I just grabbed random music. It just kept playing. All right. So, say goodbye, Charlie.
Bye.
Say goodbye, Chris. Bye. Oh, I'm waving over here. Bye. That's the end of 8-ball.